to stop meeting like this.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are going to be talking about a potential plot point for The Mandalorian Season 4. Let's go ahead and hop right on into it. Fair warning that these could be potential plot points and narratives that could include spoilers for the Season 4 of The Mandalorian, so be wary of that going forward. But this is really rather more of a tease, if for anything, compared to a spoiler or anything along those lines, because it is coming from Giancarlo Esposito himself, who does play Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. So for one thing, he's talking about The Mandalorian as he died in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, or we think that he dies. He has the potential to come back, and he's teasing at the idea of actually coming back for the 4th season. So in this video, we are going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As a read, Moff Gideon actor Giancarlo Esposito teased how his character could make a return in Season 4 of The Mandalorian, but the idea doesn't sound too compelling. This plot point idea, tease, spoiler, whatever you want to call it, is something that sounds rather awful, is what many have been saying. Now, Moff Gideon served as the main antagonist of the first 3 seasons of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. Most recently, fans saw him on the planet of Mandalore at the end of Season 3, where he was in a grueling face-off with Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin and Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan Kryze. Gideon ultimately was defeated by the pair of the Mandalorians and Grogu, but the villainous leader did reveal that he had successfully cloned himself multiple times before he seemingly met his demise in a blast of fire. So for one thing out there, there's a very popular Star Wars fan theory of that the Moff Gideon that dies at the end of Season 3 of The Mandalorian was actually supposed to be one of the clones, while the real Moff Gideon actually escapes. This here all being said, Giancarlo Esposito has teased his Moff Gideon return for Season 4 of The Mandalorian. This is also something potentially we could see set up for the Ahsoka Disney Plus show, of where we maybe have like a tidbit of Moff Gideon, like he's still alive, that we see in the Ahsoka show, or even Skeleton Crew that's been rumored and teased to be coming out a little bit later this year in November or December, could also tease at the idea that Moff Gideon is still out there in the galaxy. In a recent interview with TheWrap.com, Moff Gideon actor Giancarlo Esposito talked about the possibility of his character returning in Season 4, and he even teased on how he could actually do this and how this could actually happen. In the sit-down, Esposito was asked about the return of Moff Gideon, and the veteran actor revealed that he knows nothing about Season 4, but that he does trust show creator Jon Favreau. As Giancarlo Esposito says that, in quote, "I know nothing about Season 4. Jon has tipped his hat to me, so many fans are like, you were a clone, right? It could be. I trust Jon. He knows what he's doing." Ending that quote right there, really just saying that and actually acknowledging that fan theory of that the Moff Gideon that we saw die was supposed to actually be a clone. Something very common though, however, with this type of ordeal here is that Giancarlo Esposito has signed multiple NDAs. He's simply not allowed to talk about this with his non-disclosure contracts that he would be returning for Season 4 of The Mandalorian. It's supposed to be a big surprise type of thing, I think, is what they're trying to go for, but hey, I'm saying it first, we already know that Moff Gideon will be back for some more. He kind of just puts it all on Jon Favreau though at the same time as well, saying that, well, just trust in Jon, he knows what he's doing, trust in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Giancarlo Esposito then went on to say that he would love to keep dying and coming back, and that he is ultimately open to whatever the show's executives have planned for him. As he says that, in quote, "I would love to keep dying and coming back. That'd be my favorite thing of all. There are a lot of ways to go, and I'm open to whatever they have for the play." Ending that quote right there, kind of just saying and joking about, like, what if it was just to clone every single time, like at the end of every season of The Mandalorian, he dies, but it turns out to be a clone, and this just kind of was something that kind of recycled on and went on for many seasons of The Mandalorian. It would be funny, of course. I think that was also kind of a given that, yeah, he's open to return, but he's just confirming that he would love to return for The Mandalorian as Moff Gideon. And even though Esposito is open and eager to return to the galaxy far, far away, the idea that he would keep dying and coming back could ultimately hurt the show and the character of Moff Gideon. But then again, he was more than likely joking about it. Coming back around though, however, to the idea of that, well, Esposito's not allowed to really talk about this. I'm very heavy on the belief that, yeah, they have everything planned out here. We know that The Mandalorian Season 4 and its scripts and storyboards and everything of that nature have been planned out. Its pre-production process is, well, over at this point. The reason and for why it hasn't begun its production and its filming process, though, however, is because of the ongoing WGA and the Actors Guild's strikes that have been affecting everything in Hollywood. They aren't moving forward with filming of The Mandalorian Season 4, but everything in the pre-production spectrum has been done. So really having Moff Gideon maybe as that big bad villain again for Season 4 is, I think, something more of a given, as I had mentioned, and that the actor Giancarlo Esposito has signed multiple contracts in order not to discuss or really talk about anything into the regards of his potential role in The Mandalorian going forward, because it's something that's meant to be a surprise and something that they don't want to kind of get out there. It's supposed to be a twist or something of that nature, I think. And though clearly you guys can probably tell I'm very keen on the idea of having Moff Gideon return, I absolutely love the actor Giancarlo Esposito. He's amazing. Not a lot of people want him to return, and they think that this would be a horrible way to start The Mandalorian Season 4. So why might having Moff Gideon return be a bad idea? Why would this be a bad plot narrative? Moff Gideon's return in Season 4 of The Mandalorian would likely be extremely diminishing to the overall story that the show is really trying to tell at its core. It is important to remember that the show already went in that direction of subverting expectations and bringing Gideon back multiple times. Well, really just for Season 3 of The Mandalorian. At the end of Season 2, people thought, well, that's the end of Moff Gideon, time to move on to the next villain of the show. And this clearly wasn't necessarily the case. At the end of Season 1, it looked as though that Gideon's Outland TIE fighter was destroyed with him inside of it, but was then revealed that he had actually lived and was in possession of the Darksaber as he had came out of it. So in a way, as we discussed earlier on in this video, I want to say that it's almost very similar to the joking idea that he had of that what if Moff Gideon just kept dying and then coming back every season? Well, about that, I kind of see what he means now. Not that it's a bad thing in my eyes, but it is something that is actually happening, and I'm now kind of realizing it. Giancarlo Esposito then came back for Season 2, where he was a bigger threat than ever, but he was defeated in the season finale and then captured by the New Republic. When Season 3 of the show started, it seems as though that Gideon was finally in defeat for good, but then it was revealed that he had escaped the New Republic's grasp and was yet again free. After terrorizing Mandalore and the Mandalorian people yet again, Gideon was finally defeated in what appeared to be a definitive matter as he looked to meet his demise. However, as Esposito has teased and mentioned, some fans have pointed out that the Gideon that died could have been a clone, and that the real Moff is still alive. While most people seem to always be excited at the idea of having Esposito return to Star Wars because, man, I love him, he's an amazing actor, bringing him back yet again would be a very bad way to handle his character, and would actually be a disservice to the whole story as a whole. Since the character was already brought back twice at this point, and I see what they mean now, when it seemed as though that he had been defeated and actually died, continuing that trend would eventually be boring to viewers and would eliminate any stakes that the series sets up. So my kind of solution to that problem is, why bother trying to kill him off at the end of each season? Why can't he just maybe escape or something of that matter? Let me know what you think about that one in the comments down below. But anyway, for example, if Gideon does come back in Season 4 and dies at the end, most fans will have no doubt whatsoever that he will be back yet again. So any interaction with the villain has with any of the protagonists won't really be deemed or seen as important to us fans. The best course of action for the Mandalorian to take in Season 4 would be to introduce a new threat to Din Djarin and the other Mandalorians, doing something as simple that could work wonders for the overall story and the characters in question. And by the end of this video, I've kind of come to realize quite a few things and have learned quite a few things. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions and initial reactions in the comment section down below, but as I have mentioned a couple of times throughout this video, I love Giancarlo Esposito in Star Wars. I love Moff Gideon. He's one of my top tier villains overall, like ever, in any franchise, but making the character come back yet again again in Season 4 of The Mandalorian is, well, something that doesn't necessarily make sense, or isn't necessarily something that's needed. All of his clones were also destroyed in the Season 3 finale of The Mandalorian, so they don't really have that to work with either. And I think at that my biggest problem with Moff Gideon and why I want him to come back is because I don't feel like that they did enough with him in Season 3, and that he was kind of left short. He came in for like 1.5 episodes, and his demise didn't feel as exciting as it should have been. And for the other fact of that, it didn't necessarily feel like Moff Gideon that we've seen in the other seasons of the show. But what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and all of your other thoughts and everything else that we discussed in this video. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking in the comment section down below, guys. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.